good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. I'm Rob Evans, and welcome to Daybreak Plus. We're breaking down all the biggest news you may have missed overnight, and we are digging deep into what matters to you. The big topic today is talking about Texas men's basketball, firing a coach, hiring a new coach. That in just a moment. But first, we're going to start with more local sports. It is spring, and it is baseball season. Round Rock Express starting its new AAA season this week. This past Saturday, the minor league team welcomed more than 3,000 people to Dell Diamond for the annual Fan Fest. Take a look at that, getting up close and personal with the mascots, with the team, with the animals. Why not? Spike, the mascot there. They had a petting zoo there, train rides. Tim Jackson is the team's GM. And he said, while baseball is important and it's great, really the focus is on creating memorable experiences every time you go out to the game. Take a listen.
Whether that's my two young daughters who are 7 and 4, they're coming out for Princess Night, because Ariel's going to be here. They're not because my shortstop, or we're on a 10-game winning streak. And so there really is some every night for everybody. The Friday night fireworks we're obviously known for. The dollar hot dogs on Wednesdays. People come out for all sorts of reasons. Baseball is a social sport, and we love to lean into that as much as we can.
The Round Rock Express home opener is April the 1st against the Toledo Mud Hens. And it will be a fantastic season for them on and off the field. Get on out there and bring your family. Well, it was a busy weekend for a group of local veterans. Take a look at this. You're looking at and listening to as 47 veterans and volunteers from Central Texas went to Washington, D.C. with Honor Flight Austin. They toured memorials to those who defended our nation. Veterans of World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War were there. One of the trip highlights was the laying of the honor flight, was a wreath, rather. And I'll tell you what, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier there is where it happened. And we listened in as the veterans kind of took it all in. Take a listen.
Well, I've come out and watched this before, but being in it, beyond imagination.
My goodness gracious.
Love to see the fact that they're being honored and having a chance to look back. Honor Flight Austin's mission is to transport veterans to Washington to view those memorials dedicated to honoring their service and their sacrifice. And we appreciate all of your services and your sacrifice. If you recently filed your taxes and discovered you owe Uncle Sam maybe even a lot of money, first off, breathe, take a breath. You're not alone, and you have options. You have a few weeks to make a plan before the April 15th deadline. You want some help? We're here for you. Consumer Reports breaks down what to do if you have a big IOU.
Whether it was your side hustle, selling a home, or your child turned 17 last year, if you're not careful, there are plenty of reasons why you might be in the red and owe on your tax return.
What we do is we address the situation and we will advise different ways that they can help reduce their tax liability currently, and then moving forward we make a plan.
That's Marilee Darty. She's a tax preparer who says if you cannot pay when you file, that's okay. You can still file now and try to save the money you owe to pay by April 15th. But what if you don't have all the money by tax day? Pay what you can. Then you have three options. Number one, pay with a credit card. Yes, the IRS takes credit cards on irs.gov. This way, you can avoid IRS penalties and fees.
If they have that opportunity to get a 0 or lower interest rate through their credit card or through their bank or credit union, that is definitely the better way to go.
The IRS offers payment plans if a credit card is not an option. There's an online application. You'll know in a few minutes if you're approved. But keep in mind, you'll pay fees, penalties, and interest. Finally, there's what's called an offer in compromise. This program lets taxpayers make an offer to the IRS on what they can reasonably pay. There's usually a payment plan. If owing was unexpected, review your return and find out why. It might be worth adjusting your tax withholdings on your W-4. Or if you're self-employed and have a 1099, set aside money throughout the year so you're better prepared for next tax season. This is Ashley Prieto.
I didn't actually know about that third option right there. And if you do disagree with what the IRS says you owe, you can contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service at the IRS. You can also dispute the penalties through an appeals process. And by the way, if you file an extension, the payment deadline, though, is still April 15th. It is now 7:06, and you know what? We love eggs and bacon for breakfast, but maybe the thing to do is to skip the breakfast. Skip the bacon, not the breakfast. A new study says cutting back on bacon and other highly processed meats could protect your brain. Here's Melissa Adon.
Researchers analyzed data from over 130,000 people and found that eating large amounts of processed red meats like bacon, hot dogs, salami, and bologna was linked to a 13% higher risk of dementia. But they also found that making small dietary swaps can make a big difference. Replacing just one daily serving of processed red meat with nuts, fish, or chicken could lower dementia risk by up to 28%. And fortunately, moderate consumption of unprocessed red meats like beef or lamb was not significantly tied to dementia risk, although the study noted that high meat consumption might be associated with feeling less mentally sharp. So on your next grocery run, it might be wise to leave the bologna behind. Simple changes to your diet today could mean a healthier brain in old age. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Hi, how are you, Grace?
Sorry. I should have waited for
excited.
you, Rob. Yeah, all right. Let's get a look on our conditions for this week. A little sneak peek look at that 7-day forecast for you guys. We are going to continue to track some really nice conditions, although it was quite noisy last night. Let's take a look outside right now. It is a gorgeous morning here in Austin, Texas. A little bit backlit as we see our first lights of day here. Temperatures are pretty good. We're sitting in the 50s and the 60s across the region right now. Wind speeds not too bad. A couple of isolated gusts, but nothing out of the ordinary for this morning. There's those temperatures for you. 50 degrees in Mason, Fredericksburg, now down to 48 for Llano, 61 for Austin, and also mostly in the 60s out towards the east end as well. So satellite and radar looks pretty good. We did have some lingering clouds out there this morning. However, shifting off to the east, that's where our really noisy storms from last night have gone. Now shifting through the New Orleans area, they've got a flood warning out for them. They've got a severe thunderstorm warning out, and also a severe thunderstorm watch for the whole kind of toe there of Louisiana. So thankfully, all of our active weather is gone in a way for at least a little while, but we do have some active rain chances coming back into our region later on this week. Here's a look at those rainfall totals that we saw last night. As that boundary was moving through the I-35 corridor, we actually did get some good rain up from Georgetown all the way down through the Austin metro, above an inch for areas in South Austin there, almost an inch over towards the east end there, and then down towards the northern ends of Caldwell County. It does look like we got near almost 2 inches for some places, so that is great news for our drought conditions. However, we're going to need a little bit more, but we are getting a little bit more as we head towards the end of this week. Now today and tomorrow going to be really gorgeous days, pretty hot days as well. We'll get up to 84 degrees for this afternoon, and then tomorrow we're trending towards 90 for our high temperature. Okay, now the blustery winds from last night with those storms have certainly influenced our allergy count for today. Trees and grass both in the pretty high category out there, as opposed to what they were over this past weekend. So we get to near 90 for tomorrow. We take our temperatures down a little bit Thursday and Friday, mostly due to those increasing rain chances. Now it's mostly going to be our Thursday and Friday. We've got some isolated chances on Saturday and Sunday as we head towards the rest of this weekend, though, but you probably won't see much. So here's that 7-day forecast for us. Again, we start to warm things up quite briefly for our Tuesday, 90 degrees there, and then we trend downward as we head through the middle and end of this week. And of course, the best chances for rain actually are going to come Thursday night into our Friday morning. Okay, let's get a check on traffic for this morning. We've got some updates across the region, and honestly, the map is starting to light up pretty recently here. So zooming on in, we do have a stalled vehicle, and that's going to be blocking the shoulder there. That's I-35 northbound, that Old Torf exit 232A. Not causing any major issues there, but certainly could slow you down a little bit. We also had one crash up towards Research Boulevard there that has since since been cleared. So you're in the green for that region. And I will say another region we have to watch out for this morning is going to be Bee Cave Parkway between 620 there and Vista Ridge. We did have a gas leak there on Friday, which doesn't look like they've totally fixed up just yet. So this area is going to be closed down for this morning. All right, drive times for you. 39 minutes Buda to downtown, quite slow there. And then Round Rock to 183, 19 minutes there. Back to you, Rob.
All right, Grace, thank you very much. It is 7:11 right now, and today an appeals court will begin to weigh in on President Donald Trump's use of the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act. Now, he used this law to deport hundreds of alleged Venezuelan gang members. We've been covering this for quite some time now. ABC's Christiane Cordero reports, though, the president and his allies continue to criticize the judge in this case. Take a look.
This morning, an escalating legal battle between the Trump administration and the courts themselves takes its next step. 3 judges on an appeals panel are set to hear the case over Venezuelan migrants recently deported to El Salvador, as the administration tries to get the original judge off the case.
Despite what he thinks, we're going to keep targeting the worst of the worst.
Judge James Boasberg ruled the administration improperly used the 18th century Alien Enemies Act to deport more than 200 Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. The migrants are alleged gang members, though the families of several dispute that claim, and according to sworn testimony, ICE officials say many have no violent criminal record in the U.S. The administration went forward with the deportations despite the judge's ruling, and today, Boasberg is scheduled to decide whether that move defied his court order. President Trump, his cabinet, and several congressional Republicans have called for the judge's impeachment.
This is an out-of-control judge, a federal judge trying to control our entire foreign policy, and he cannot do it.
In his fact-finding mission about the timing of the deportations despite his court order, Boasberg asked the administration share information. What they handed over last week, he said, was, quote, woefully insufficient. As the fight between Trump and the courts heats up, so do protests against Trump's policies. Hundreds of people gathered in Richmond, Virginia over the weekend. The backdrop, St. John's Church, where founding father Patrick Henry made his "Give me liberty or give me death" speech 250 years ago. And over the weekend, Venezuela continued accepting deportation flights from the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem plans to visit Central America this week, making a stop at the prison in El Salvador where those migrants were deported to. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And sticking with the administration, the spending cuts already made to federal programs are affecting several programs, and one you might not think would really affect it a whole lot. But ABC's Andrew Dimbert shows us how cuts to NOAA are impacting the fishing industry. Take a look.
This morning, a freeze on regulations and cuts to federal spending in Washington appear to be taking a toll on an industry we haven't heard much about recently, the fishing industry.
The fishery stakeholders across the U.S. have lost a voice. We've lost our access to the agency that governs our livelihoods if we're commercial fishermen.
From the Atlantic to Alaska, fishermen say they rely on NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, to manage coastal fisheries, affecting how and where they do business. The agency sets quotas and helps determine the start and close of fishing seasons.
We follow the weather closely, and then the work with stock assessments affects our fishery in quotas and in bag limits on an annual basis. The work that they do regulates our industry in that what we can and cannot fish for, what times a year, how many we can take.
More than 160 NOAA employees dealing with fisheries were reportedly fired last month. Industry experts tell Reuters the changes in Washington have raised the risk of delaying the start of the fishing season for some East Coast cod and haddock fleets. They say it's also allowed for the overfishing of bluefin tuna off North Carolina, which could mean reduced quotas for fishermen in New York and New England, where the fish migrate north this summer, potentially driving up prices. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, time for our deep dive now. We're talking about it earlier, but a new face is coming courtside to UT. Texas fired men's basketball coach Rodney Terry over the weekend and reportedly already has its next coach. Texas set to hire Xavier men's coach Sean Miller. That according to our partners at the Statesman. Miller and the Xavier Musketeers, of course, were the ones who knocked out Texas from the NCAA play-in game last week. Now, Miller also coached at Arizona, and in his career, he has led teams to 13 NCAA appearances. Terry, meanwhile, let go with 3 years left in his contract. He took over an interim role in 2023 after Texas fired Chris Beard for a domestic violence incident. Terry led Texas to the Elite Eights. Now, before Terry's firing, Miller, before the NCAA tournament, was talking about UT. He had some good things to say. Take a listen to what he had to say.
With Weaver, I think Texas is a better team. I really do. He's really an instrumental player. And I know they played most of the season without him, but we knew that if he would play, and tonight, lo and behold, he played 30 minutes. I thought they posed some different challenges against us that, quite frankly, the SEC didn't have to deal with when they played Texas this year. Getting him back, I think it makes our victory even better because I think Texas is an overall better team with Weaver.
And after Coach Terry was released or let go, he released a statement writing, quote, "Thank you to the Longhorn Nation, our student section, the Corral, all of our wonderful donors and supporters who have been consistently great to me and our program. I'll forever be a Longhorn." Very classy man, classy statement. UT's Vice President and Athletics Director released a statement calling the decision difficult, but praising Terry's leadership and wishing him the best in the future. All right, so who is Miller, right? Well, we're going to talk about that, right? Of course, we know he helped knock out Texas in the first four. He has seen a lot of talent in his career and coached it as well, including NBA players like DeAndre Ayton, Aaron Gordon, Larry Markkanen, TJ McConnell. And his resume, well, you can describe it in one word: winner. He was at Xavier, he was at Arizona, and his career record, 487 and 197. That's a 71% percentage. How about that? 71% win percentage in 20 years. He has had 8 Sweet 16 appearances, along with 4 Elite 8 showings. Now, to put that into perspective, what does that mean? Well, Texas has also had 4 Elite 8 appearances in the past 35 years. And Miller has had it by himself in the past 20 with 2 different teams, which you have to rebuild every time you go somewhere, right? Now, you can't win without the team, and that's the biggest question right now for this program. Let's count them up. 7 seniors will not be on the roster next season. Outside of these guys, only 3 players got significant minutes. So with the transfer portal opening on Monday, well, work starts right now, which is why they made the call so early to hire the new coach. Interesting to see how Miller is going to replenish the roster. So good luck to him. Good luck to Texas. So, hey, exciting time. Things are moving. And we leave you this morning with something to talk about. Texas is full of cool, unique names, towns like you never heard of before. Some sound like they can't be real, right? Each of these communities has a treasured story passed down through generations about how did that name come to be. What about Ding Dong, Texas? Have you heard of it? It's a thing. Jacob Wallen takes us to the town right here in Central Texas to hear its story.
There are lots of famous places around the Lone Star State, but right here in Central Texas, there's one place you may not be familiar with, even if its name may ring a bell.
Ding Dong, Texas.
That's right, Ding Dong, Texas. Ding Dong is a small, unincorporated community just a few minutes outside of Killeen, fittingly enough, in Bell County. So, where does a name like Ding Dong come from? Killeen Library Director Deanna Frazee looked through the Bell County history books to find the answer. According to historical accounts, Ding Dong got its name in the early 1930s when Zulis, or Zoilus, depending on who you ask, and his nephew Bert Bell opened up a country store. They needed a sign to promote it, so they hired painter C.C. Hoover. As Hoover was buying materials for the sign in Florence, the owner of the shop reportedly suggested he should paint 2 big bells on it in honor of the owner's names, and write Ding Dong underneath as a bit of fun.
And they painted bells over it, and it just kind of became Ding Dong because of those bells.
Sadly, that sign is no longer standing.
There used to be a highway sign perhaps, but it kept getting stolen, so they just gave up on it.
But its legacy lives on, especially in the Country Pride Market, where you can even find some Ding Dong merchandise. There isn't too much in Ding Dong.
It's just quiet mostly. People keep to themselves for the most part, and it's just a nice place to live out in the country.
The 2000 census listed Ding Dong's population at just 22 people, including Killeen reference librarian Walter Mochigimba.
My family lived out there starting in 1995, and we've had a place that my mom painted a sign that says Ding Dong Dell.
However, Ding Dong is recognized as a community by Bell County and is even the unofficial home of the Southwest Bell County Volunteer Fire Department, which serves several communities in the area. Ding Dong has become somewhat famous because of its name, both locally and nationwide, and was even featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not.
And there are people who travel to see things like that just because of the name.
Yeah.
All because of a sign and a sense of humor. In Ding Dong, I'm Jacob Alleen.
People just don't believe it's a town, but I'm like, no, it really is. Well, that's it for our Daybreak Plus. Let us know what you would like for us to talk about. What do you think about the coach hiring? Coach Miller, message us at 512-459 or at 9442. Again, 512-459-9442. Let me know what you want to talk about. I would literally, if you tell me, we'll probably talk about it if it's, appropriate. You can also message me on social medias at Rob Evans TV. That's at Instagram, Facebook, or X. And stick around because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE+. Goodbye, everybody.